Well, I might as well go ahead and get started. And want to thank everybody for being here tonight. My name is Drew McCaughey. And tonight we're going to share recently discovered secrets to easily and effortlessly restoring your youthful energy, endurance, stamina, and vitality so you can live your life to the fullest with more happiness, joy, enthusiasm, and passion, accomplish more each and every day, increase your mental clarity, focus, and creativity, while you're also resolving chronic pain issues, reducing stress levels, dramatically enhancing your immune system function, and we're also going to share how you can turn your rediscovered youthful vigor into a vehicle that fulfills you deeply and makes your life incredibly meaningful, increases your sense of contribution and serves the world in a powerful way, and provides you with tremendous time freedom and brings you new levels of wealth and abundance. So I know that probably sounds like a lot, but if you'll stick and stay with us tonight, I think we can share exactly how we can help you accomplish all of that and possibly more. So obviously we're going to cover a lot of information tonight in a quick period. So please make sure you're in a quiet place so you can focus, and by all means make sure you have a pen and a paper so you can take some notes. And at the end, I am going to provide details on exactly how you can take full advantage of what we're going to share with you tonight, how you can go find more information so you can do your own due diligence, and then I have a special offer for everybody on the call tonight as well. So before we get started and I begin to bring our special guests, let me share just a little bit about me so you can get an understanding of why I'm here, and even though I'm not a health professional or have a bunch of letters after my name like a PhD, why I feel qualified to be hosting this special teleclass. One of the reasons I'm here tonight is because back in 1996, I was living in L.A., and one of my friends who's on our call tonight asked me to come over to his house for dinner and a hot tub, where he proceeded to share with me that he was starting his own business out of his garage and wondered if I would be interested in helping him build it. Well, long story short, that little business that he started out over his garage, that little business ended up growing into a business that created more than $550 million in sales in the U.S. and Canada, had over 330,000 distributors, and paid out over $180 million in commissions. And we had so much fun back then that we decided to team up again. Only this time we're introducing exclusive and revolutionary breakthroughs that can help us solve the root cause of what many health professionals are now recognizing as the biggest health crises of our lifetime. I was introduced to our first guest, Revolutionary Theories about solving these biggest health crises of our lifetime, more than 6 years ago now. He's a Yale-trained cardiovascular surgeon who has spent his years since leaving the heart surgery profession dedicated to trying to identify the root causes of the epidemic non-communicable diseases that are almost acting like a plague on our society today. In 2011, he and his team introduced a breakthrough in the weight loss industry that helps people easily and effortlessly lose weight and keep it off permanently. And for the last 2.5 years, we've helped thousands get stunning weight loss results. Now he and his team have developed something that is even more widespread implications on improving our health. And rather than trying to explain it all myself, I thought I'd ask him to join us personally to discuss it. So, Dr. Lundell, many people will be aware of the term of chronic inflammation because we know that just by the sales of pain relievers and painkillers in the U.S. and Canada. But you wanted to come at it from a different perspective, and that's where I think most people don't quite understand chronic inflammation. So why don't you explain a little bit about what chronic inflammation is from your perspective and why it has such a detrimental effect on our health?
Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you everyone for being available tonight to discuss this important topic because indeed 70% of the deaths and some 60% of the illness and 70% of the deaths worldwide are from these chronic diseases, all related to chronic inflammation. And in the course of doing over 5,000 coronary bypass operations, I discovered that it really wasn't cholesterol, but it was inflammation that was allowing the cholesterol, even in normal amounts, to collect in the wall of the blood vessels. creating heart disease, stroke, death, and other diseases. So I decided to rededicate my career to moving from winning battles and losing the war to winning the war against chronic diseases, which has taken over from the acute illnesses that killed us 100 years ago. Now, without inflammation, acute inflammation, we wouldn't survive a few minutes in this toxic environment that we all live in, where we live in a sea of microorganisms, we live in a flood of new chemicals produced every day, and we have a lot of stress in our modern life that our ancestors didn't have in the same way. So if inflammation is so good and so life-saving, how can it be so wrong in creating these chronic diseases? Well, the answer is it doesn't complete its course. The body likes everything to be normal, and that's called homeostasis. But if there's an injury, inflammation follows. And what the body likes to do is resolve that inflammation and restore everything back to normal. And if we don't complete the 3 steps of this immune and inflammatory response of recognizing the threat or the enemy, and then responding to it vigorously with our immune system and our inflammatory system to eliminate or destroy that threat. And then if we don't resolve it, if we don't heal it, then we have an incomplete process, and that's where we come into chronic inflammation. So we could get, and the reason chronic inflammation is so bad is that whenever we have a war, we have casualties, number 1, and we have collateral damage, number 2. And so when we see people with osteoarthritis, it isn't because they wore out their joint. It's because they have signs and signals of inflammation circulating in that joint that end up destroying the cartilage. When we see osteoporosis, it's that we have signs and symptoms of unresolved inflammation, not allowing that bone to replace itself, and it gets weak. When we see someone with Alzheimer's disease, we know that some of the chemicals related to inflammation are being deposited in the brain and causing it to dysfunction. And so all of these things are connected by unresolved inflammation. And as I say, it can be unresolved from any of the 3 aspects. It can be unresolved because it wasn't recognized quick enough, it wasn't responded to vigorously enough, and it wasn't resolved quickly and normally and efficiently. And so that's where we get all these things. Now, it can also be that we have repeated injuries. This doesn't happen in Michigan, but in Arizona and California, one might get sunburned every day. And if you got sunburned once, it's not very important. If you get sunburned every day, 365 days a year, your skin is going to be destroyed by the fact that the repeated insults never get resolved and it never heals. And so that's why I decided to take a different approach, because what we've done in medicine is we've just tried to interfere with the inflammatory response. Yes, we relieve pain. Yes, we can bring down fevers. But that's not solving the problem. That's covering it up, if you will. And so we decided to take a different approach. We decided we needed to produce and introduce nutrients in a concentrated way that would allow us to recognize more rapidly, respond more vigorously, and resolve more efficiently. And that's why we put the specific ingredients in Real Weight together, because we're really not anti-inflammatory, we're pro-resolution. Because resolution of the inflammation is why we get relieved from our aches and pains. That's why we allow our joints to restore themselves. That's why we let our bones get stronger. That's why we can allow our muscles to get bigger. It's why we can allow our brain to work better, is by the elimination of the chronic inflammation.
So that explains why 30 years ago, Dr. Lundell, you're aware, I hurt my back pretty bad, and over the years, I've sort of kept it in check. There's been some episodes acting up here and there, but it always kind of bothers me. It always is kind of a low-lying stiffness or pain or what have you. And over the years, it seems to have, an effect on my energy levels and all the things that I do. And, every once in a while you feel like taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon, etc. But when I found your solution to this inflammation, it wasn't 3 weeks after I was taking what we'll talk about tonight, and that back pain was no longer really bothering me. I mean, I never really noticed it as much anymore, and everything, my mental clarity, my brain cleared up. I just seemed to have more energy and endurance and stamina. Would that be the reason for that?
Yes, it would. It consumes a lot of energy. I mean, we might produce 1 billion new white blood cells a day, or in some joints, for example, in arthritic joints, there might be rheumatoid arthritis joints, there might be 1 billion new white cells produced and dumped into that joint every single day. So it takes a huge amount of energy. I've operated on people with valley fever, which occurs out here in Arizona in the desert areas, and it's a chronic fungal infection that the body kind of walls off but can never completely get rid of. And if it gets to be so troublesome, we take a little cavity out of the lung. And I can't tell you how many people came back in, even while they're still recovering from the operation, to tell me, wow, I haven't felt this good. I have more energy. And it's because they have energy that's not being consumed,
right,
producing all the chemicals and cells and things that go on with chronic inflammation. So that's why you felt better, is you had energy that you were using up somewhere else that can now be used for the things you want it for.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you mentioned that you've put together different ingredients, and I know there's 10 main ingredients, and the solution that you're bringing to the world today, we're bringing to the world today, is called IS2. We don't have time to get into all 10 ingredients, but if you could just give us an idea of, say, 3 of maybe your favorites and what they're doing to help fight battle, or I should say support the inflammation system to resolve the issues.
Well, sure. I'll just go down the list. The curcumin we put in there has been used for really thousands of years, and the ancient physicians, doctors, medicine men, whatever you want to call them, used curcumin for a variety of things. They used it for arthritic pain, for diabetes. People with heart disease, they thought that helped that. Anybody with an autoimmune disorder had benefited from curcumin, and it's been identified by the term Indian gold. Now, it's a pretty common spice, but we often don't get enough of it unless we're eating Eastern cuisine. The second one, which is really all of the ingredients are backed by a lot of research, and I put all the references in the paper that's available on the Asante website.
Yeah, we'll be sharing how people can get all that information as well, Dr. Lundell.
Okay,
for sure.
Well, anyway, so you can spend a lot of time looking at all those. So there's significant medical research on every single ingredient, and the reason is because I wanted this product to work. And the other one that's a favorite, and the one that has possibly the best clinical data that's relevant and that's real, is the Wellmune. And Wellmune is you'd think it doesn't amount to much because it comes from baker's yeast. But the interesting piece of this is that this polysaccharide, this big molecule, which is made up of a whole lot of little sugar molecules put together in a unique way, when we digest that, it gets absorbed, and it gets absorbed on the immune cells in the intestine, and then it goes to the lymph nodes and the spleen and everywhere in our immune system. And it's sort of It's like your caffeine in the morning to the white blood cells. It wakes them up, and makes them ready to recognize threats, and makes them ready to respond to threats. So it's sort of it's sort of a general tune-up for our whole immune system. And since you all are in Michigan, this is tart red cherry country, and the tart red cherry is really an antioxidant powerhouse. And there's lots of good studies on tart cherry and what it does. And one of the things that happens when we have chronic inflammation, especially from a bad diet, is we have oxidative stress. And tart red cherry is just packed with a variety of polyphenols that are very important in terms of relieving oxidative stress. And once again, if we relieve the oxidative stress, we're not interfering with the inflammatory pathway. We're allowing the inflammatory pathways to work toward their eventual goal of resolving the injury. So that's my top 3 for today.
Okay. Good top 3. And once again, at the end of the call here tonight, we'll be sharing exactly how you can go find, all the ingredients, come into a community we have on Facebook if you're on Facebook, and see some videos and get some more information. But that was very helpful, Dr. Lundell, in helping people like myself understand why chronic inflammation is having such a negative effect on our happiness and our joy and our energy levels and all the things I talked about at the top of the show, at the top of the class. So I really appreciate it. I got to tell you, it's just really, the reason I came up with that list is because all of that stuff has happened to me in a relatively short period of time of taking IS2. So I thank you personally for developing this, because as you know, I was skeptical, and boy, you've really made a believer out of me, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And thank you. What I'd like to do now is bring in my friend who has a great testimonial here on IS2. His name's Kevin Donnelly. We've known each other for a few years. He's a martial arts expert, and so he's been active his whole life, and he started taking IS2. And Kevin, why don't you just tell people what happened with you?
Well, Dr. Lundell, Drew stole my thunder, because the first thing I was going to do was thank you for bringing IS2 to the market. A little background on myself, just real quick. I spent 18 years with a pharmaceutical company out of New York, and we sold a lot of what I thought were beneficial products, but they all had extensive side effects and drug-to-drug interactions and warning signs, and they took a long time to work, and there was a lot of due diligence in between taking the product and effectiveness. And like Drew, Dr. Lundell, I was a little hesitant. I'm right now I'm 48 years old, and Drew mentioned I have 15 years of martial arts. I've had a hip surgery, a Birmingham hip resurfacing done. I've had 3 broken arms, torn Achilles, torn calf muscle, you name it. I've had these issues. And I started to notice in my life around 46 and 47, those 2 years were getting really tough on my body, and I couldn't believe what was happening to me. And inside, you're always looking for a solution. You're trying to figure things out. And Drew comes along, and IS2, the opportunity to try IS2 comes along. And I will tell you this, anybody who's listening, you can't be more critical than what I am as an individual, almost to a fault sometimes. And within 5 days of taking IS2, I will call it remarkable. I use different adjectives maybe to describe how great I felt. But the results for me were absolutely remarkable. I had the honor of coaching my daughter's 5th grade Catholic school basketball team. A side note, they won the Catholic School League championship, but I'll leave that for another day. But I called Drew on one Friday. I was driving to practice, so I had been a coach on the sidelines with a whistle in his mouth, pointing and hollering and doing the things coaches do. I called Drew on that Friday driving to her practice, literally giddy with how good I felt. And I had to call Drew because I had to tell him tonight's the night that I'm going to be diving on the floor and showing these girls exactly what I mean with what I'm talking about. I feel like, physically, I feel like I'm 28 years old. And the enthusiasm that I had for this product to bring it to others, to make them feel the same benefits that I feel today, that's my new mission. I have to do this. And so, Dr. Lundell, I could go on and on. I have several anecdotal stories from people who have tried the product recently, and I'm on a mission to take your product and hand it to people and let them tell me the same kind of feedback that I'm telling you today. So thank you very much.
That's fantastic, Kevin. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. You know, that's just exactly how everybody is feeling on this. And I'm going to bring my last guest in, and he's my old buddy, my longtime pal. He's the guy I was talking about in the beginning. We sat in a hot tub and started a business way back in, I think it was 1996, and Jay's an expert at building businesses, so I'm not gonna steal any of Jay's thunder. Jay, why is something like this so great for a home-based business opportunity? Hold on.
Drew, am I on?
There's Jay.
Okay, great.
Yep, there's Jay.
Great. Okay, perfect. Drew, you're always looking for an innovative product that touches the greatest amount of people. And we've had some phenomenal success. You gave the numbers early in the call with some weight loss products that have been amazing. Dr. Lundell has created an amazing weight loss product. But as big as that space and that category is, this IS-2 basically leaves nobody behind. Every single person on the planet needs IS-2, and I'm just excited to come to the marketplace with something you're always looking for, something new, innovative. The ingredients that Dr. Lundell has put together have basically never, ever, even 3 or 4 of these ingredients have never been put together, let alone 10 of them. I've taken the IS-2 formula to some of the absolute most brilliant minds in health professionalism, in natural healing, at people who know more about supplements and these kinds of ingredients than anyone on planet Earth. And all I do is turn over the beautiful brochure with the 10 ingredients, and I say, we are delivering that product in a liquid to the world. People take a single ounce when they wake up in the morning, and you tell me, have you ever seen a formula like that? And what do you suspect that's going to do for people? And I don't do anything more than that, Drew, because people are dumbfounded. First person I took it to that has 38 years of experience with nutritional supplements, owned and operated 4 health food stores, has run a practice with millions of dollars of supplements for the last 35 years here in Southern California. He took a look at the ingredients and he said, that's $300 to $500 worth of ingredients. $300 to $500. He says, I can't put that together. In my natural pharmacy, I have maybe 5 or 6 of these. I have none of them with this amount of dosage. I have none of them that are liquid and hence incredibly bioavailable. And I have nothing that puts this amount of power in someone's body. And so, the battle against inflammation is huge. Everyone understands that. Anyone who has any kind of a health background knows that chronic inflammation is the cause of basically everything that goes wrong degeneratively in the body. So the bottom line is this is a powerhouse, and this is a great moment. And we're only a couple of months into it. Thank God that Dr. Lundell shared it with us to share with the world. And so basically what we do is we deliver a product that no one has. We deliver a product where the value is 10 times greater than the investment, a product that creates the kind of results that, my mom is now 87 years old, and she's a looker. She's just a great look at 87-year-old. But the truth of the matter is she has some issues that really, really trouble her, one of which is huge swollen ankles. And there isn't a doctor in the world that can do anything for her. I've taken her all over to the very finest physicians and natural healers, and we've tried every modality. And she basically was reduced to pretty much being immobile. That's how bad the swelling was, the edema. And she's been on IS-2 for a couple of months now. Within a matter of 2 weeks, it was half down. And right now she's moving, she's walking, she's having a great time, and the swelling is now just a teeny little bit. I mean, it's almost completely gone. So it's just an absolute powerhouse product. And so what the company has done to make it a lot of fun for us who are getting a shot at bringing this to the world is they've put together some fabulous marketing materials, beautiful video, great literature. Dr. Lundell has written a white paper, so if you've got someone who's scientifically oriented and they want details, we've got all the details, all the research behind all the ingredients. We have a marketing team and a training track that is as good as any I've ever seen in business development. It's absolutely outstanding. Our new president, who is leading this charge, Doug Ridley, has 40 years in the industry, just an amazing president. And so what we've got is some neat programs and neat promotions, ways for people to get the product into the world, and some very special incentives, because you're here so early. The company is loading. I mean, you win yourself an iPad, you get yourself gold coin, thousands of dollars of bonuses just for beginning to build a team. It's all here. And of course, the most important component, Drew, and we know it because we've done it before, is we're dedicated. So when you're joining this team, this isn't a theoretical practice. These aren't a bunch of armchair intellectuals who are leading the charge from an ivory tower. We're in the field with everyone. We're rolling up our sleeves. Of course, here in Southern California, I don't have any sleeves to roll up. But the bottom line is we're here to support everyone. And I thank you for putting this marvelous educational webinar together. And I just want the people to know that we've got an amazing training track, marketing materials, and support team. And bringing this IS-2 and the Realway product to the world is an absolute blessing and a blast. Blessing and a blast. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Drew, and you can tell everyone where to go from here.
Well, thanks a lot, Jay. And boy, you just covered all the bases that needed to be covered, and the only thing that people need to do now is learn more and find out more, and we've made it easy to do that. There's two ways. If you're on Facebook, simply type in the search IS2 Community, IS2 Community on Facebook, and just ask to be invited over there, and we'll accept your invitation. You'll get to meet a bunch of us over there. You'll find a lot of information, and you'll find some videos, and you'll find the white paper, and et cetera, and we can show you exactly how to get started and what you need to do from there. And then if you're not on Facebook, you can just either give me a call, 734-645-2395, 734-645-2395, or drop me an email. It's my first name and last name, Drew McCaughey. It's MCCAUGHEY @gmail.com. That's DREWMCCAUGHEY @gmail.com. And I'd be happy to send you a link to a series of the 3 videos that Jay mentioned, and they'll walk you through the whole IS-2, the weight loss, and the wonderful business opportunity. I think it's 17 minutes of videos, if I'm correct on that, Jay, and it'll be the best 17 minutes of videos you'll spend. And that leads me to my special offer. If you decide to join us this week, and actually I'll make it available to everybody that's on the line right now, because I know we have some people joining us that are already on our team. I will offer you the ability to have the same system as far as the 3 videos that you'll go see in your own website. So what that means is basically you'll have your videos tied directly to you and your Asante websites, and you can share them with people from all over. Now, we know, Jay, that the best way to build a business in this industry is to have people over and share the product and et cetera. But a lot of people like myself and Kevin and everybody else have contacts that are not necessarily in their backyard to have them over to their house. So this is an opportunity for you to be able to have your own website pages with your own videos, to share the videos with people that you know and love that aren't in your backyard, to get them interested in what we're bringing to the table. And if you join us before the end of the week, I'll build those for you for free, no cost. So that's the call tonight, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I really appreciate the guests. And once again, my name is Drew McCaughey, and if you have any questions, feel free to call me, 734-645-2395. And thanks again, everybody. Have a great evening.